It's Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here. Patrick Reusse, Star Tribune columnist, joins me as usual, takes his traditional swig of Diet Coke. You guys can't see that, but that is what revs the Reusse engine in the morning. Patrick, how you doing?
Good. A nice cold one, too, just right out of the refrigerator. Small one, so it's just a perfect one, The other day, though, to talk about the ripoff of America, forget about gas prices. The real tragedy here is what they're now charging for a nice 8-pack of the smaller Diet Coke bottles, which is what we go for here.
Okay.
$7.99 the
What?
other day.
Where?
$7.99. Where the heck was it? Hy-Vee, I think.
Okay.
But they're always that way now. It's all 7 something. Come on. Let's where was the, I know we passed the climate bill yesterday in the Senate and stuff, but where's the Diet Coke Protection Act?
Diet Coke Protection Act.
Come on, God almighty. There's a lot of us addicts out there that need help, So
everything's expensive these days. That's not what we're going to talk about today.
This keeps going up. It was $4.99 when all this nonsense started. Now it's $7.99. Come on. Come on, America.
Must be a supply chain problem with whatever they put in Diet Coke, which is, what?
Well, yes, but the big bottles, the bigger ones, which only come in 6s, they're like 3 for $10 because they can't get rid of it. We all want the little 8-pack, so they're robbing us on it, man. It's terrible. It's a real blow to American commerce, if you ask me. So anyway,
speaking of the supply chain, Twins over the weekend split with Toronto. It was a pretty entertaining 4-game series. It did not end the way they wanted it to, obviously, though. We'll get to that here in a little bit. We'll get to some interesting roster moves, get to some Viking stuff, and Napheesa Collier returning and helping the Lynx win and stay alive in the playoff race. Patrick, the big story Sunday, tied 2-2 with the Blue Jays in extra innings. Twins had rallied from 2-0 down in the late innings to tie it at 2. Blue Jays got a runner on third with 1 out, kind of a shallow to medium fly ball. Tim Beckham, by the way, playing left field. That's a story for a little bit later in the show, and just how the outfield depth is just decimated. Makes a really nice throw to Gary Sanchez, tag runner out, boom, rally thwarted, except they go to New York and find that Gary Sanchez blocked the plate, or they say he blocked the plate. Rocco Baldelli goes ballistic. I've never seen Rocco more angry. In fact, I'm going to play the entire extended post-game rant right now just so you guys get the full appreciation for it.
That play has not been called since the beginning of replay more than a couple of times. In all of baseball, the thousands and thousands of games and plays at home where the catcher actually does block the plate over and over and over again, that play has virtually never been called. And for someone to step in that situation and ultimately make a decision that was blocking the plate, that's beyond embarrassing for our game, for all the players out there on both sides of the field working their ass off for the entire game. It's completely unacceptable. I can't even believe I'm sitting here talking to you guys about this right now. It's one of the worst moments I think we've seen of umpiring in any game I've ever been a part of in baseball. And I think it was pathetic, what just played out. And I could go on and on and on about this. The umpires on the field have nothing to do with it. They made a play on the field, which was the right call, which every person in all of baseball, including the umpires, know is the proper call. And someone in New York decided that was worthy of being overturned on the field.
Patrick, It was one of those calls where it seems like it's a baseball play. It's a bad call. It's like it's one of those things where blocking the plate is such a judgment thing. It seemed like he adjusted to catch the ball. It looked like it looked like the Blue Jays runner slid right into him, trying to get the call instead of trying to slide around him. The bigger story in this, though, is the Twins lose a game that cost them a game in the standings because both Cleveland and Chicago won, I believe. So now the lead is 1-2 over Cleveland and Chicago. The bigger story that everybody was talking about is Rocco Baldelli. You heard him. You listened to that. That's like 10 times more fired up than I think I remember hearing him.
Certainly publicly, as far as his quotes after the game, I have never heard him that far off the party line that he usually follows pretty good. Yeah, it was fantastic. And you know what you need then, really, Mike, is you need an explanation from the umpires. But what New York saw, did we ever get that?
I think there was something, yeah, but it wasn't satisfactory, I don't think.
Oh, well, it was, watching it and then hearing an umpire's explanations. There's this website that goes through the calls. Some talk that he was on the plate way too early and then he got off the plate, but supposedly you can't be blocking the plate even if the guy's 25 feet away. And
right.
He was standing in front of the plate and then he got out of the way and made the tag, and they usually let that go.
Right.
But what we got to know is, was it for the act when the ball got there? Because, the throw took him there, or were they responding to the fact that when the guy was running down the line, Sanchez was standing in front of the plate? Is that we don't know for sure where the call came from, whether
right.
they didn't, whether it was something that he did earlier or something in the actual play. And, and Rocco went nuts, but there's nothing the two umpires can do about it because Toronto used its challenge. And, if Toronto doesn't have a challenge left, if they used it earlier in the game
right.
and lost,
right.
It's 2-2 and you're not going to score anyway. But, it was really entertaining that Rocco went nuts. And I think that will improve his standing with the local fans, don't you? We do feel like he doesn't get fired up enough. And, he gets more heat than he probably deserves. And so it's, I think we're going to all be on his side now that we can see he is very passionate about this and he is capable of going nuts. So that was good. I like that. So.
Yeah, I believe the only explanation he was given was basically New York saying the rule was applied correctly. And he said afterwards, I wasn't given an explanation because truthfully, there's no explanation to give on that play. That was probably one of the most chicken bleep things I've ever seen on a baseball field done to a team. Now he dropped an F-bomb later in his post game as well. I mean, that's Rocco. That was something.
That was that was pretty wild. That was Gardy like. That was
yes.
Gardy would have still been chasing him around the field.
MGM Wine and Spirits is the choice for savings, service, and a great selection of spirits, pre-mixed cocktails, wines, and of course, ice-cold beers and hard seltzers. With over 30 locations throughout the Twin Cities and beyond, there's an MGM near you. Head to MGMWineandSpirits.com to find a convenient location in your area. Get social. Follow MGM on Facebook and Instagram for all the latest news and trends. Make great moments with MGM Wine and Spirits, your locally owned and operated choice for over 50 years. Save time, save money. Shop MGM.
It does give you something to talk about beyond the fact that this team can't hit. And that has now joined pitching. And I was saying the other night, we all knew that the pitching was okay. They should have went and got some hitting to help this team, I don't know. Yeah, I mean it's something to talk about. And they got a day off, and now they got to go out and face the Dodgers for 2, Angels for 3. So they'll probably get Ohtani somewhere in that series. So yeah, right. They're only Cleveland and Chicago weren't really chasing them most of the season. Cleveland was, Chicago wasn't, but now that they are, it's interesting. I still like what they did with the bullpen. I like, what they've tried to do here, but Kepler's back and hasn't had a hit in about a month. He's been terrible, even before he got hurt. Kirilloff done for the year again. That wrist, man.
That's tough.
That's a terrible thing for a hitter not to have, especially him with that swing, which is kind of this short, little, really wristy swing. And they don't have any outfielders, and Buxton's having knee trouble again. And there's some thought that I was listening to Probus, and it sounded like they figure they got a day off Monday. They played 2 in LA, and then they got another day off Thursday, and they might try to give him the whole time off to let this thing cover. He didn't say that, but it sounded like that was something they were talking about. So, lineup right now, not good.
No, it's not. And you mentioned the trade deadline. Last time you and I talked last Monday, it was, of course, pre-deadline. And, we were both pretty skeptical about what they might be able to do, especially with their minor league depth. Now, they did have to give a couple of their top 30 guys. Top 30 gets stretched out pretty good if you're talking about a prospect list, if it's top 30, because it's a lot of players. But they did give up a couple of hitters that look like they got some potential. But what they did was get a starter, Tyler Mahle, who is at least under team control for next year. Lopez under team control for 2 more years after this. Fulmer was a rental, but they did more at the deadline than I thought they were going to do. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I certainly last week Monday I was saying they don't have the ammunition, and everybody's talking about the price, and after what was paid for Castillo, you figured that, oh man, this is going to be really hard for him to make a trade, but they gave up the minor league guys think they gave up too much for Mahle.
Yeah,
but not that they made a really good trade for Fulmer, and they made a really good trade for Lopez. So, and they had no doubt. If they wanted to win the division, they had to get a starter too. So they did okay. They did fine, and better than certainly better than I expected them to do. It's just, man alive. It's you go through this whole season, and a lot of it we think is them being too precautionary, and we've ripped them all for that. But right now they got guys, playing that are Miranda's banged up a little bit, and he's playing. They're playing guys now that are a little shaky as far as injuries are concerned. So it's not like they're being overly protective. And the Buxton thing, if they're going in and having to drain the knee every 10 days or so, that ain't good.
No.
I don't know. Now you got to worry is if the lineup can get you to the finish line. And
right.
A very interesting week here. The Angels are playing terrible, but they're how about the Angels hitting 7 home runs in a game and getting beat? That was
unbelievable.
That was quite an accomplishment. But the Dodgers have won about 40 out of 50, so you're going out there.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're what, like 15? They're 15 and a half up on the Padres now.
Yeah. The Padres unload everybody to make the great deal for Soto, and then they just get beat by the Dodgers anyway.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting week, and they're probably going to have to play the first 2 without the manager. I would say he's going to get himself a 2-game suspension because they don't like the chicken part, especially when you throw the little addition on the end of it.
Yes.
If you had said they were chicken, you might get 1 game. When you add the other part of it, then you're probably looking at 2. And I don't think managers can appeal. So I think the managers have to take what they get. So players can appeal, but I don't think managers can.
Maybe if it had been horse and then the word, it would have been 1 game also. But if you do chicken and the word,
chicken is horse bleep means you think it was a terrible call.
Yeah.
And then saying it now, you're saying it's a gutless call, which is
different.
And the guys, I mean, what's it take for the guys in New York to, I mean, why would they want to be gutless, if they're on the field with the other guy yelling at them? So I think they just, the guys, Alan Porter and Marty Foster, there wasn't much they could do except listen to him scream.
Right. Yeah, they made the call on the field that he was out, and then they got overturned. You wrote over the weekend. I want to get to this before we transition to different subjects. Wrote about Tyler Duffy over the weekend and just kind of not just the remaking of this bullpen with him being released. They released Joe Smith a few days ago too, kind of two guys they were probably counting on to a certain degree and have counted on to a certain degree this year. Obviously, that's after all the deadline moves they made with Fulmer and Lopez and some of the other guys that have emerged in the bullpen since then. But Duffy was one that maybe caught me by surprise a little bit, even though he's struggled this year. I mean, he's been a contributor to this team for quite some time. And like you wrote, one of the clubhouse good guys for a lot of that time too. So that one was a little bit of a we mean business kind of move.
Yeah, it was. I was going to say they took the emotion out of the situation, and it's we can't afford to mess around anymore. And Tyler was, he picked a really bad time to be awful again, and to come in at the end of that game, and you're gonna ride with Pagan a bit longer because you like his stuff, even though I think he pitches stupid. But I think that they don't know. They don't know what pitches to emphasize with him, but it shouldn't be the breaking ball when he wants to, to give up his home runs. But you knew it wasn't going to be him. And McGill, I guess they still like his fastball, but he's those guys each gave up 3 runs. But I think I tweeted out that night that I thought he'd be gone. That just the whole atmosphere, the mood of that defeat, and the fact that there's been a couple of times this year when he got into funks when he was just terrible, but that stuff just isn't good enough anymore. It doesn't, when he was really good, he threw 96 all the time. And sometimes, even 97, and then that curveball was a better weapon than it is now. But here's his problem. To me, he hangs 1 out of 3.
Yeah.
The curveball was always his big pitch, and it became a knuckle curve, but 1 out of every 3 are hit me, and that ain't gonna work. That doesn't work, and I don't know. It'll be interesting. He'll obviously clear waivers because nobody's going to take on the contract when they can get him for free as soon as he, not free, but for the minimum as soon as he clears waivers. But I don't know if he'll go straight to the big leagues or not. I think someone might take him and try to fix him in the minors for a couple of weeks or something. I don't know what'll happen, but I don't know. It's 31, and relief pitchers are strange animals, man. They can come and go, can't they? So
yes,
I guess I wasn't surprised after that game the other night. I kind of thought it was coming. So
yeah, well, he was just the classic. Came up in 2015 and basically kept them in that race as a starter down the stretch. He was 5-1, the ERA about 3, and that was after one disaster of a start, right? Like his first one, he got clobbered.
Yeah, first one he was against these guys against Toronto.
Sure.
His numbers against Toronto, I heard Probus the other night, like 20 runs in 13 innings or something like that. But he's been terrible against them. But the next year, if you need any reminder of how bad 16 was, 59 and 103. He had a 6.5 ERA and he made 20-some starts.
26 starts. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
And he was 6 point something, right?
6.43 ERA, and they ran him out 26 times.
And that wasn't good enough to be knocked out of the rotation. Or bad enough to be knocked out of the rotation. So yeah, that's the reminder of that. But yeah, really good guy. I liked him a lot. And he was hilarious in 18 when the bottom line numbers ended up bad because he only pitched 19 games. But after he was terrible early and he got sent out, I think it was 7 times he came back and forth that year.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't have, and I used to. I mean, he'd get them out.
Yeah.
That was kind of the start of the okay. We had a relief pitcher who had to throw 25 pitches. We got to get rid of him. We got to set him down, and so we could use somebody else. And it made no difference that year whether he pitched good or bad. He was going back to Rochester either way.
And this was to Rochester, not St. Paul. This
wasn't 11 miles. This was on that 6:14 a.m. flight that he would back here when you came back here. It was like he had some flight that was usually filled with Twins and nobody else. But he was a good guy. But I mean, he really doesn't have much of a complaint.
He got chances.
This was not good this year. He was okay last year, but not really good.
Yeah.
They were hoping to see a better stuff this year, and they saw where somebody told me that they just the chart on his stuff this year was really, his stuff just was not good at all this year. So
he was just the classic converted starter who seemed like he'd found it. 2019 2.50, really good that year. Yep. The short COVID year, 1.88 ERA, even last year, 3.18 was okay. But you're right. Some of the peripheral numbers starting to go down. He didn't have a strikeout per 9 or per inning last year where he had been up there before. And, you see those guys convert all the time. Lopez is one of those guys. Griffin Jacks looks like he's one of those guys, but he did kind of seem like he just kind of ran out of steam a little bit with what he had to offer.
Yeah, and somebody will give him a shot here, but whether immediately in the big leagues or not, I don't know. I think he's got a big adjustments to make, though. I think he needs a different pitch. I don't think he can rely on the curveball as much as he does because there's too many of them that just sit there. And when you do that, you end up in the Hall of Fame. But if you're for the hitters, that's Kirby Puckett. You take away those hanging, breaking balls. I don't know if he would ever made the Hall of Fame. Kill those babies. So and Duffy was just throwing too many of them. So, but they got to. What are they going to? Kepler's terrible. I mean, even before he got hurt, he was in a bad slump. Buxton's not playing. What's your outfield going to be here? I guess Nick Gordon's now an everyday player, right? Although I hate him in center field.
Yeah, he's been pretty good this year overall. He's been a lot better than I ever thought he'd be.
He's been an offensive player. He's been okay. I looked terrible early, but he's been okay offensive player. But you don't like him at shortstop, and you sure don't like him in center field. The other night, they hit 2 little fly balls out in front of me, jogged in and played them both on a hop. I don't know what that was about. I don't think he does play really deep, and I think they probably want him there, but I don't like him at all in center field. But he's going to be he'll probably be your left fielder, right? Here on a regular basis. So
probably.
Yeah, it's going to be tough sledding here, hitting wise, unless. A guy who's having a pretty good year, Correa, but you'd like to see a little more. I'd like to see a little more out of him.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. And, Arise has come back to earth, although he still got 3 hits the other day. But, they're just – Gary Sanchez is hitting 210.
200, he's been bad.
Sandy Leone is a comic character. We need a comic character to be a catcher, and he's probably going to play more than half the time here, I would guess. But
yes, I think so too.
I don't know where they go. I don't know where they go for another outfielder.
Jake Cave, baby, we got Jake Cave back.
Jake, that's right. Jake's back. He'll be here all year. Jake for 29, he got that gray beard, man. You think?
I know. I noticed that last year. I was like, this does not look good.
Yeah, but he's going to end up. He'll end up playing a lot. But who's the? I guess was Celestino back? I don't think Gordon will have to be your backup center fielder anyway. That's good.
But they have Beckham out there. Yeah, it's just it is what it is, as they say. Well, let's transition a little bit. Talk. I want to read you a quote about Garrett Bradbury from the other day. Kevin O'Connell talking about him, noticing. What's been described in the Star Tribune story, I think Mark Craig wrote about it as obvious struggles in pass protection. That was in Mark Craig's lead, talking about Garrett Bradbury the other day. So we get to get to the later on, says O'Connell, I think he has the strength to hold up. I think he has the technique to hold up. I think we can do some things with how we protect to try to limit some of those one-on-one situations by how we scheme up certain fronts. I think it's too early to make any kind of final assessment. I'm definitely not worried. Anytime someone says definitely, they're worried. They got to be worried about him because, man, he's just getting blown off the ball again.
Didn't they hit? What, they got two journeymen, right, to replace them? Two old.
Yes.
Two
guys who haven't really played. Two guys who haven't really played center even.
Is this Chris Reed guy? Is he the Mankato guy? Is he the MSU Mankato?
I don't know. Neither of these guys have really played center.
Chris Reed used to be a good player in Mankato, but I don't know if this is him or not. I suppose I should have looked at that before I even mentioned it. But he's light in the britches, as they used to say. He's light in the britches. He's not big and strong enough. He's a big kid, but he never, he's a basketball player type of frame, isn't it? And
yes. Quick research on the fly. Chris Reed is the Mankato guy.
All right, let's root for him then. He was a good kid. So maybe he was a tackle, I believe, down there, but very good athlete. I saw him play a couple of times, and maybe he'll get a shot. But it is. That's a pretty high draft choice, right? Where did he get taken? In the top
18th or 19th overall.
Yeah. So not good that he's busted, but the fact that he's a open topic of conversation during training camp.
Yes.
As you're waiting for exhibitions means that it's and did they already make the decision not to guarantee the last year?
Yes. They already made that decision. So he's
already told you they have no faith in him, right?
Already said no faith in the future, and they took away his starting job in the middle of last year. The plan was weird going into this year. Like, I feel like they thought they could do more with him, or they figured it was just sunk cost, and they would give him the first shot at it at least. But they seem to have much of a backup plan.
Does sound like somebody else is going to play there, to say the least. Who, that has become a very vital position, though.
Yeah.
That run up the gut at the quarterback is not something we like to see with Kirk.
No.
And these big, strong, mobile nose tackles that they put two guys on each side of the center a lot of times. And the whole thing of stopping passing games in the modern era is the only way to stop them is to rush the hell out of the quarterback.
Yes.
And they come up with incredible schemes to do exactly that. Every team that has good athletes, and it's all about finding somebody to run through to get the free run to the quarterback, and it can't be your center. So, yeah, goodbye, Garrett.
I would think so.
I
would think so. Well, and they got Green Bay in week 1. Green Bay just kills them up the middle, and then Philadelphia in week 2, and that's this new Jordan Davis draft pick that's just every day I look, there's a new Twitter highlight of him just destroying somebody in practice. So it's not going to be an easy start for whoever's the center.
Where is he from? Where is he? SEC someplace?
Yeah, Jordan Davis. He was like he was a first round pick, I think. Georgia. Georgia.
He was Georgia. Yes. They had a good defense, if you're not aware of that.
Yeah. People wanted the Vikings to take him. He got taken 13th. The Vikings
had like 9.
Yeah, Vikings had the 12th pick, and traded down. Jordan Davis got taken 13th, so that'll be another.
Wasn't he being bandied about as a possibility for here? I thought
he was.
Well,
he was.
That's good. I like that when they pass on somebody and then he comes back and kicks their rear end. And you can say, "How did they give up? Why did they draft this guy?" We can get all upset about. There's always something to get upset about. That's great. So.
Patrick, really quick, got to mention Lynx still in the playoff race. Napheesa Collier comes back 2.5 months, I think, after giving birth, 10 weeks, and 6 points in her return yesterday. Just a pretty cool story. They're hanging in there. It's a weird league this year. There might be 3 teams that make it out of 8 that are under 500, but they've still got a shot They got a big game later this week in that race. They're chasing a few different teams, but they play the Mercury, the team that's a game above them on Wednesday. And then I believe Friday is the last home game, which will be the last home game barring playoffs of the Sylvia Fowles career. So a lot of interesting, a lot of Lynx intrigue this week, but Collier coming back, maybe even a game earlier than everybody thought, was an interesting one yesterday.
Yeah, it's was the baby there? Did we have the baby in the crowd?
I did not see that. That'd be pretty early for the baby to be at a game.
Yeah, 3 weeks. 3 weeks. What the heck? Let's go, kid. Come on, get to the ball game. No, yeah, maybe not. But yeah, that's it's nice that when 67% of the teams make the playoffs, it's a good deal. And it's kind of like the NBA now, which if you count the play-in, they got 67% of the teams getting in too. So
that's true.
That's and I think one advantage we were talking earlier before we came on is they got a game with Connecticut, but Connecticut really won't have anything to play for, and Seattle with all those old timers on that team will probably be resting them if they're in the playoffs. So they might not have to play the A team of Seattle and kind of Connecticut, which would help.
It would. Yeah. It would indeed. All right, sir. We'll have plenty to get to again next week, I'm sure. And thanks, everybody, for listening. We will be back at it again. I'll be back at it again tomorrow. We'll be back at it again next Monday. Thanks, Patrick.
See you later.